Okay, hear me out. Iowa. Is it the most haunted state in America? Now, I honestly would never have guessed to look in Iowa, but I was looking up some obscure ghost stories, and Iowa came up quite a bit. When I think of haunted America, I think of places like Texas, because here we have the Driscoll Hotel, Miss Molly's Bed and Breakfast in Fort Worth, even states like Pennsylvania. There's Gettysburg, but never Iowa. So tonight, we're taking a trip. You guessed it, because I already said it, into Iowa. So grab your coffee and let's get into it. Okay, so our first stop on our little haunted adventure begins in Iowa City, to a cemetery that seems ordinary at first glance, but harbors one of the most ominous statues in the country. Oakland Cemetery is home to the infamous Black Angel, a towering 8.5-foot sculpture that was once a gleaming bronze, but it has turned an eerie, unnatural black over time. And this isn't due to simple oxidation, as some might claim. The statue's transformation has given birth to decades of urban legends, superstitions, and some spine-chilling first-hand experiences. The Black Angel was commissioned by a woman named Teresa Dolezal Feldevert in the early 1900s. Teresa was a Czech immigrant who had endured immense personal loss. First her husband, and then her only son Edward, who died at the age of 18 from meningitis, and she had a simple monument placed at his grave. But when Teresa remarried a man named Nicholas Feldevert, and he passed away in 1911, she decided to erect a grand monument over the family plot. She hired a Chicago artist to craft the angel statue, an angel with downcast eyes and sweeping wings, meant to symbolize grief and protection. But something about the figure unsettled people even then. It didn't have the softness or serenity of traditional cemetery angels. Instead, it had weight, mood, dread. By the time the angel was erected in 1913, people were already talking about it. And then the color began to change. Now, not over hundreds of years, we're talking about a few years. The once bronze surface turned a deep, tar-like black. Locals began to speculate that it was a supernatural sign. Some said it was punishment, that the angel had turned black to reflect the sins of the Feldevert family. The most ominous claim? That Teresa wasn't buried under the statue at all. Despite losing her entire family, she reportedly requested her ashes be scattered elsewhere. And I guess my question is, why would a woman build a statue for her family plot and refuse to be part of it in death? And that's when the rules started to spread. If you kiss someone near the statue, your relationship will end in betrayal. If a pregnant woman walks beneath the wings, she'll miscarry. And if you touch it on Halloween, you'll die within the year. Of course, teenagers dared each other to touch the statue late at night. Paranormal, and then the claims of sudden dizziness, nosebleeds, and panic attacks. One woman claims she touched the statue and had sleep paralysis for every night for 3 months, always dreaming of the angel standing in the corner of her room. But one of the eeriest reports comes from a college student who visited on a dare. She claimed that after touching the angel's foot, she saw a black winged figure standing by her dorm window every night for a week. She moved out mid-semester. Skeptics dismiss it. They say, oh, it's just a coincidence. Corrosion, imagination. But those who've been there, they'll tell you the same thing. This angel watches you, and it does not want to be touched. All right, so roughly 2 hours southwest of Iowa City lies a quiet little town called Villisca. Blink and you'll miss it. But don't let the small town charm fool you. This is the site of one of the most brutal and baffling unsolved murders in American history. On the morning of June 10, 1912, a neighbor walked to the Moore residence and knocked on the door. No answer. She tried again. Still nothing. Alarmed, she let herself in. And what she found inside would haunt her and the town forever. Josiah Moore, his wife Sarah, their 4 children, and 2 young guests, the Stillinger sisters, had all been murdered, bludgeoned to death in their sleep. 8 victims, all with their heads covered, all killed with the blunt side of an axe. The murderer of murders was never caught. The crime scene was chaotic, with neighbors and townsfolk trampling through the house before police could secure it. Fingerprints were smudged, evidence disturbed, theories flew. A jealous rival, a deranged drifter, a local with a dark secret. But no one was ever convicted, and the house never recovered. Today, the Villisca axe murder house still stands at 508 East 2nd Street. It's been preserved to look almost exactly as it did that night. There's no electricity, there's not even running water. It's just you, your flashlight, and whatever else might be inside. Visitors report an oppressive silence that settles over the home like a blanket. Paranormal investigators call it one of the most active sites in the country. People have captured EVPs of children crying and calling out for help. Some even report doors opening and slamming shut without any wind. And the weirdest part is people say that they hear footsteps creaking across the attic floor, where investigators believe the killer may have hidden, watching the family before striking. One chilling detail is that the mirrors in the home were all covered after the murders. Some say it was a mourning tradition. Others say it was to keep the souls of the dead from getting trapped. But today, the effect remains. You feel unseen eyes on you, even when there's no one around. In 2014, a paranormal investigator staying overnight was found stabbed in the chest. He survived, thank God, but he claimed he had no memory of harming himself. There was no note, there was no trigger. He just said, "The house did it." Locals will not go near it after dark. And even the bravest ghost hunters approach it with caution. And the scariest part? It's not just haunted, it's angry. Whatever lingers inside that house, it does not want to be filmed. It just wants you to feel what they felt. Trapped, terrified, and forgotten. Okay, so as we head east from the murder house, past farmland and quiet town squares, we approach a place wrapped in more than just fog. We're going to Scotch Grove, Iowa, home to Edenberg Manor. It looks peaceful from the outside. It's a 2-story home with red brick, symmetrical, sterile, like something out of an old photograph. But this building has a memory, and the longer you're inside, the more it feels like you've been there before. Edenberg Manor was built in 1911 on land that already had a dark past. Before the current building stood, the property was home to the Jones County Poor Farm. The facility opened in the 1850s as a last resort for the country's most vulnerable, the mentally ill, the elderly, the impoverished, and anyone else society just didn't want to deal with. Conditions were grim. Records show dozens died there, sometimes from disease, sometimes from violence, most of the time from neglect. When Edenberg Manor replaced the poor farm, things were supposed to improve, but they didn't. For decades, the building operated as a mental institution and care facility. Hundreds passed through the halls. Some were placed there due to genuine illness. Others were committed there for being too difficult. Spouses, children, veterans deemed inconvenient. It's said that the walls here were really good at keeping people in, but not so good at letting them out. Even after the building was abandoned in 2010, something stayed behind. Today, the manor is one of Iowa's most notorious paranormal hotspots. The staff left furniture, medical equipment, and patient files behind. And the energy? Bad. Just bad. So one thing that visitors say often is they report hearing their own names over and over again. The doors, they creak open slowly and then slam shut. And one weird thing I read is that sometimes the building seems to breathe with you, synchronizing with your heartbeat, almost like it's studying you. The most talked about presence in the manor is known only as the Joker. No one knows who or what the Joker really is. Some say he's the spirit of a former orderly who enjoyed tormenting patients. Others believe he was a violent inmate who never left. He's seen as a tall, shadowy figure with long arms and a crooked posture. Apparently, he hisses and growls, and if he doesn't like you, he makes it known. One group of investigators claim they saw him crawl on the ceiling before vanishing behind a door that led nowhere. Another visitor says she felt something cold wrap around her wrist and later discovered bruises in the shape of fingers. And then there's the writing. Across several visits, different people have reported seeing words scrawled on mirrors, chalkboards, or the walls. But they all said the same thing. It's not graffiti. There's no spray paint. It's just a message saying something like, "Get out, you don't belong." One man found his own name etched into dust on a windowsill in a room he had never entered before in his life. He obviously left and didn't go back, but still, some people actually stay the night. Those who dare to attempt overnight investigations are met with sleepless hours. Their flashlights die without warning, and the cameras refuse to record anything. So a former caretaker once admitted he heard music playing on the second floor after everyone had gone home. A slow, out-of-tune piano melody. The only problem? There's literally no piano in the building. Unlike other haunted places that feel tragic or mournful, Edenberg Manor feels different. Like it's still operating. Like it's just waiting for its next intake. Some visitors have walked out and reported vivid dreams for weeks on end. One said he dreamt he was locked inside the hospital room screaming, but when he woke up, the door was jammed shut. Others say they bring something home with them. But whatever lives in Edenberg Manor, it doesn't want attention. It wants occupants. Next, we're visiting Buchanan County, where one of the oldest psychiatric institutions in the Midwest still stands, partially in use, partially decaying, and fully unsettling. Welcome to the Independent State Hospital, also known historically as the Iowa Lunatic Asylum. It opened its doors in 1873. The original structure was massive, designed in the Kirkbride style. This was a 19th century architectural blueprint meant to heal patients through light, space, and air. The reality, though, not that. Independence was built to house people suffering from mental illness, epilepsy, addiction, and dementia, but also people who simply didn't conform. Wives deemed hysterical, teens who misbehaved, or immigrants who struggled to speak English were committed here. Some were admitted by family, others arrived by force, and far too many never left. I don't know about you guys, but I'm sensing a pattern in Iowa. So the treatments here were brutal. Electroconvulsive therapy, ice water immersion, hydrotherapy, and insulin shock therapy were standard practices. And for those considered violent or hopelessly ill, lobotomies. It was a place built on good intentions, but it quickly corrupted by overpopulation, underfunding, and desperation. The hospital was once so overcrowded that patients slept in hallways, attics, even the floor beneath stairwells. Staff were overwhelmed. Abuse was common. Suicides occurred often and were quietly covered up. Today, parts of the facility still operate as a treatment center. But the other wings, the ones with the peeling paint, rusted doors, and blacked out windows, have been left behind. And you guessed it, that's where the hauntings begin. The most common reports, the usual: cold spots, voices echoing through the locked room, patients in white gowns walking down the hallway, only to vanish when approached. One nurse who worked night shifts in the early 2000s refused to enter the old children's ward alone. She said she'd hear crying when the rest of the building was quiet. Now, she said it wasn't loud or frantic crying, it was soft, kind of tired sobbing, like someone who had given up being heard. Visitors claim the building feels like a time loop. Clocks freeze, cell phones die, audio recordings often capture static, or what sounds like breathing. One paranormal team caught footage of a door slowly opening, followed by a long, dragging sound, like something being pulled across the floor. In the main staircase of the abandoned wing, people report being pushed. One man claimed he completely blacked out after seeing a woman in an old-fashioned nurse's uniform standing at the top of the stairs. She was just staring directly at him. When he came to, his face was bloody. He had no idea how he got to the bottom. There's also the basement, not listed on any official tour, but it's there. Tunnels connect the buildings underground, originally used for staff to move between wings during harsh winters. Today, they're dark, damp, and lined with mold. Several investigators have described hearing whispers in the tunnels. Others say they smelled sulfur or maybe blood. And then there are the people who bring something back with them. A woman from Des Moines who toured the hospital said she had a dream every night for a week afterward. The same long hallway, the same flickering lights, and a shadow figure crawling on the ceiling. She claimed she did not tell anyone, but her husband had the same exact dream, and he'd never even been inside. Okay, so we're ending our haunted Iowa trip in the southeast center of the state near Burlington. The town is peaceful, the kind of place where everyone knows each other. But just outside the city limits, there's a winding stretch of road that's said to hold a secret. A local legend passed down, a name whispered on dares: Lucinda. They say if you drive down Stony Hollow Road at night and call her name 3 times, she'll appear. And if she drops a rose at your feet, your death will follow within 24 hours. Stony Hollow Road curves through dense trees and limestone bluffs. During the day, it feels like any other country lane. But as the sun sets, the legend begins. According to local folklore, Lucinda was a young woman from Burlington who fell in love with a man her family did not approve of. Some versions say they planned to elope. Others claimed he promised to meet her at the cliffs overlooking the Mississippi River. Either way, he never showed, and Lucinda, devastated and shamed, threw herself from the bluff. Since then, her spirit has been tied to the land, forever waiting, forever mourning, and sometimes seeking vengeance. Those who've tried the ritual say it feels wrong the moment you start. The road seems longer than it should. Your headlights don't reach as far. Some claim to see a figure in white, drifting between the trees. Then there have been reports of sudden tire blowouts, engines stalling, or phones glitching beyond repair. One couple says they were being followed by a set of headlights after they called Lucinda's name, but when they pulled over to let the car pass, nothing was there. Another man said he saw her, pale with long hair, standing in the middle of the road. He swerved and crashed into a ditch. When he crawled out, dazed and bleeding, he found a single red rose resting on the hood of his car. He told his story online, then disappeared from the internet completely. But everyone says the same thing. The energy changes on foggy nights. That if you drive through with your windows down, you might hear crying or laughter. Or worse, your own name spoken by a voice you've never heard before. No one knows why Lucinda's legend hits so hard. Maybe it's the isolation, the sense that you're somewhere forgotten by time. Or maybe it's the fact that, unlike the haunted hospitals and houses we've explored, this one doesn't need walls to trap you. Stony Hollow Road is open, unassuming, and yet more than any other place on this journey, it feels like the kind of spot where something could reach out and take you. Not because you're in the wrong place, but because you called out to it. So, still want to visit Iowa? Whether it's statues that turn black with grief, or asylums that never forget their patients, these places aren't just haunted by ghosts. They're haunted by memories. And maybe the scariest thing about a trip like this isn't what you see. It's what decides to follow you home. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this haunted trip, let me know where we should go next. Ohio, the Ozarks, or maybe straight to hell. Yes, there's a town named Hell. And if you want to hear about the 7 Gates of Hell, I did a video on that too. I'll link it down below. Until next time, subscribe.